right, Browns fans, welcome back to what is it now? Week 7. Previewing week 7 and recapping week 6 of the
No.
Cleveland.
We're 1-6. We're 1-6.
All right.
So
All right, Browns fans, welcome back to all right. All right, all right, Browns fans, you are in the Dog Pound with your hosts Bernie Kosar, Eric Metcalf, and Frank Stams, three former Browns players from the mid '80s, late '90s, some longer than others. Bernie, how long was your career with the Browns?
Almost 9 years, and I'm happy to be in the Dog Pound today, despite our 1-6 record. Okay, bring me up. Give me a little spiritual guidance there, Mr. Stams.
Man, I wish I had some good karma to lay on you, but I don't know. I got none. Eric, how about you? You got any love for the Browns?
well, Nick Chubb got a touchdown.
Hey, there we go. That's
That's
some
the
love.
only thing.
That's some
Yeah,
chubby
that's Chubb
love.
love. Yeah, just say that. That's the only thing that I felt love about is the fact that after a horrific injury last year, he was able to come back and score a touchdown. I mean, everything else is kind of mute because he worked hard to get back where he was, and so to see him walk out the tunnel, actually play a football game and score a touchdown, that was the best thing that happened for the organization and the fans that day.
Wow, I'll tell you, the incredibly positive response of all the things that probably we could talk about, Matt. And as much as I want to kind of make fun or make some jokes or make light of this situation, to see Nick Chubb come back and to echo your thoughts and come back from that devastating injury and see him get in the end zone, probably one of the only positive things of the day. But incredibly positive to see just an awesome young man be able to come back and stuff with that. But before we get back into the football thing, I'm looking at this screen here, and I just left the great Frank the Hammer Stams in New York, New Jersey, doing an Alumni Media Network, doing a golf tournament, and met this guy. I'm not calling him Benedict Arnold, okay, for trading out here, but he was the best dressed looking LA Rams guy out there, okay? He actually was color coordinated.
No,
He had stuff on that matched, okay? And now he drives back town. He drives back all day with those sunglasses on, bro, and you found your Browns beanie hat again, huh?
oh,
Man, this hat keeps me nice and warm,
oh,
and the glasses hide my bloodshot eyes because I have been logging some miles behind the cars. But I'm glad you mentioned that because those colors do look good, and that's the only reason I wore 'em because I just love that blue. And it was a great day out there in New Jersey playing with
Hey, so since you
alumni.
said that, I get a lot of texts from people that say, "Hey, that's cool. You're doing this podcast. Who's that old guy who wears the hat and shades all the time on there?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's the person I was looking for in New Jersey the other day." And I see this well dressed, color
I like
coordinated, handsome devil coming up, and I got to look at this mug shot the whole hour here, brother.
man, that cuts deep because the reason I wear the hat and the glasses to make me look younger, but they're saying that it makes me look
hey,
older,
you look
huh?
cool.
I'll
You
have
look
to.
cool. I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks,
I
brother.
appreciate
Yeah,
And I
correct.
know. Listen, if there's anybody that knows cool, it's cool.
I
So thank
appreciate
you,
you.
Eric.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
It's because you don't have two pair of glasses on, so I feel good about anything you do now. Anything you do.
That's funny. So, but I don't want you to, this is when I talk about we talk about Chubb. It's all about the love, and it's just wonderful that he's able to come back. So, what'd you think? I mean, limited carries. How'd he look? I mean, did he look like he was a little cautious, or what'd you
For
think?
me, he looked good. I mean, to be out that long to come back, he looked like he was healthy, strong. He was elusive. He showed power. He showed the ability to make people miss, and he showed that he could still be Nick Chubb. They just can't ask him to carry the ball 25 times a game, right? Right now, they have to work him in and do it in spurts. But I go back to the fact that it was a great moment. Nick Chubb coming in, scoring. In the end, he had 11 carries for 22 yards.
Yeah, and you know
And
that's what
that's
I
the
was.
downfall. Nick Chubb can help you if he plays guard or tackle.
Yes. You know, and it's I tried to shut my mouth because I wanted to hear what an awesome running back like Eric Metcalf says first before I predispose stuff. But for the listeners out there here in the dog pound, for a fellow running back to genuinely say how he looked good, he was elusive, he looked tough. Yeah, there was some kinks in it for that being his first game, but yet to look like that and then to have 11 carries for 22 yards, 2 yards a carry, and he played good. Okay, that's what's to me is concerning
Right.
slash dangerous. And I was so hoping we were wrong, but a little bit on the air and for sure off the air, we were talking at the beginning of the year that Deshaun Watson is going to get hurt and not survive the year taking these type hits. I love how Nick Chubb came back. I love how he's evolving back and he showed that athleticism and toughness. But 11 carries, 22 yards, and our inability to throw right now has the red light focus factor right on Nick Chubb. And when Met said it in levity, but he's not the right guard and the tackle and stuff. And if he doesn't have those holes and he's going to take that type of pounding right as he gets the ball, that's not a good sign right now in the type of season where we're not a Super Bowl team.
So if it's me, I might be like, you might want to sit back here for a little bit, buddy. Let's just go on and ride this out and see what happens, because you don't want him taking those hits unless because if they appreciate him like they say they do, then regardless of whether they're going to let him go next year or not, you don't want to do that to him.
Yeah, and appreciating him, like we use the phrase a lot with us publicly and privately, and then with other guys. A lot of times we have to be protected from ourselves. So it's in our interest.
Boy, don't I know that.
He's not going to voluntarily take himself out of the game. That's why we love him. He's not going to do what I think me and Met are suggesting, and you don't want a player who thinks rationally like the three of us are talking right now. But organizationally, I don't believe he's for sure gone next year, and it's in our interest to have Nick Chubb healthy and ready to go all of next year. And again, I don't want to be the one talking about the season's over, but this is not a season of playoffs and nor Super Bowl. So I don't want to feel like this on October 22nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever it is this week in 2025. And right now, that's where we need to see Nick Chubb stay like this, and he'll keep getting stronger. Let's not have him regress, and let's help him from himself.
Speaking of helping you somebody from themselves, do you think the Browns know how bad of a team they are? And I'm talking about the players. And I chose that very carefully. I didn't say, do you think the Browns players know how bad they are? Because the Browns players, there's some really all pro. There's some all pro players on that team. But do they know how bad of a team that they are?
I don't think they don't know how bad of a team they are, because they know that they have guys in that locker room, like you said. They have guys in that locker room whose egos are big enough and have been to Pro Bowls, and obviously we've had a Defensive Player of the Year. They have guys in that locker room who have been to these places, and so they don't know how bad they are as a team. They just know that they're not winning with all these good players.
And I so concur. And to add on to that, we don't want them to know. Look, we've been on some teams. I'm not picking on nobody, bro. At the end of my career, though, Matt, at the beginning of your career, it wasn't the same line I had the first 5 years of my career where we were dominant. Okay, Met, our line was a little weak at the end. That's what hurt some of my issues and stuff. So, like, being able to somehow, some way, make yourself believe that you could play, it's almost imperative that you do that. So I don't believe the guys are, because if they start thinking they're not a good team, this will really spiral south.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the other side of that. because Bernie, I see some value in what you said. We don't want them to know, but you know what? Somebody needs to tell them that. And what I'm getting at is the coach needs to tell them that. I was talking to Dave Robinson. Dave lives in the area. Dave, for those of you that don't know Dave Robinson, and I think Bernie, you certainly do. We just saw him at
Very.
Alumni Weekend. Yeah, Dave played on the Lombardi teams, a Hall of Famer. Grew up in New Jersey, made his home here in Akron, Ohio. I actually went to school, high school, with one of his sons. And Dave, we got to talking about his time with Lombardi, and he said Lombardi. He goes, if you had a good game with Lombardi, an All Pro, and he made All Pro. Like I said, he was in the Hall of Fame. If you had a good game, Lombardi would chew your ass the next couple of days just to keep you from getting that big head. And and I know things are different today, 60 years later, but they're not that much different. And my point being is somebody needs to chew their ass. Somebody needs to tell them they're not getting it done.
Yeah, but that's different, Frank. That's different than the question you asked, though. You asked, do they think they suck? Okay.
No, 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 no. Do they know how bad of a team? And I want to be careful. Do they know how bad of a team they are?
Well, that's different than a coach yelling at them, because a coach yelling, people tell you that, like, they could tell you that, but do the players hear that? Like, I come from that era of coaches yelling too, and I heeded it. But just because the coach says it, and just because the fans say it or it's in the paper, that doesn't necessarily believe the players it resonated with them. Now, I concur that they probably should heed that advice, but that doesn't mean they're listening to that. And I do believe that they're getting critiqued.
And they're getting critiqued, Frankie, but you can best believe everyone in that building is saying we could have won that game if we made this play, this play, this play, or that play. And they're telling them, we are a better team than this. We could have won this. And they should believe it. They just have to correct it. But so no one believes that they're a terrible team. They just believe they haven't gotten it done. Well, they know they haven't gotten it done.
Well, and that was a question that this is important to me. How to frame things with athletes. I guess I asked that, and Bernie, you mentioned and I think Matt, you were alluding to the fact is if you tell somebody that we've all run the risk, and maybe you have your own thought. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you run the risk of having some guys go in the tank. But and I was listening as I was driving back from New Jersey today. I was listening to the radio, and they were talking about DTR, and do you put him in there right now? And one of the radio hosts said, well, you run the risk of ruining him and ruining his confidence. But I say this, put him in. Because if that player, whether it's a quarterback, a defensive end, or it's anybody, a place kicker, field goal kicker, if they're that delicate that they can't handle failure, because in my opinion, we get better from our failures. If they can't handle failures and get exponentially better from that, then you don't want them to begin with.
Yeah, I would take that statement, though. I concur with that 100%. But I would take that statement to everybody. We keep saying the players. We were an equal opportunity messing with people back then. It was players, coaches on offense. In these environments, everybody should be mad at themselves, and everybody should be accountable for it. And it's harder to do today with guaranteed contracts and this. But in the old days, we talked about this a few podcasts ago in the Dog Pound here, is just about every Monday, in good times, they cut somebody. They cut somebody in the organization, they cut a player, and everybody was on pins and needles. You didn't take a break. You didn't do the extra stuff because you were afraid of being the weak link, being exposed, and then flat out getting fired or cut. So I would take that kind of mindset that you're talking about, not just the players, to everybody.
Now, that's funny you mentioned that because that was that people ask me what motivated me. What was my biggest fear? My biggest fear is the next day in that meeting that Nick Saban didn't hold that freaking laser, that red laser on my ass the entire length of the film. That scared the shit out of me, and I did not want to be that weak link now because now all your peers are looking at you like, hey, you're fucking costing me money.
You know what scared me? Not thinking I was the best first person on that field. Really and truly. And I might not have been.
I believe you.
Wait, say that
not
again?
Thinking I was the best player on the field. And I might not have been.
But our mindset thought we were.
I have to be the best person on this field at what I do. And if I take care of my business, we should be okay. I should be able to help us win. And I think everyone should think like that. I think
where did you learn that?
I just growing up.
Was that taught to you, or did you learn it?
It was just who I am.
I mean, I know that's kind of the same question, but
I think just me watching my dad, and I think wanting to be like my dad, inspired me to always want to be the best, no matter what.
Because I wish I had that when I played. When I lined up, I said, fuck it. There's no way that tackle's going to keep me from getting to the quarterback because I'm better than he is. I wish, a lot of times I wish I had that.
It doesn't always work out where you're the best person on that play or throughout the course of the game. But if you try to be, that was my goal. I just wanted to be the best player on the field no matter what happened.
And finding out like the personalities of people, like I made it look haphazard or loosey goosey, whatever the right phrase is, but I wanted to hang out with players and I wanted to get to know them. So guys like Met who are self-critical of themselves and really perfectionist, could handle that type of stuff. But there's other guys who maybe can't handle some of the pressure of that and don't even know that it's okay to expect to be great, to expect to dominate. And that could be a player, a coach, a front office person, but developing that type of culture and learning the nuances of the people around you, I absolutely think it's essential. And it's a little harder to do today, but those are things that when you go through these tough times, and unfortunately these probably tough times now for the Browns aren't going to go away this year, and it's going to make for a really uncertain probably offseason and next year, that you have to have that type of culture. And you've got to have guys like Eric Metcalf who think like that to be able to spread that word so that it gets in and amongst the culture of the team.
I say this, when you watch the Detroit Lions, they think they're going to win because they believe they are the toughest team in the league. They believe that. And they believe that because of their coach. He brought that in. This is who we are. We're some tough ass SOBs, and we're gonna go out there and we're gonna out tough anybody. And we might not play better than them, but if we out tough them, we will win. And that's what they've been doing.
You're in the Dog Pound with your host Eric Metcalf, Bernie Kosar, Frank Stams, Browns players talking Browns football here at Week 8 as the Browns just finished 1-6. Against in the Battle of Ohio against the Cincinnati Bengals. They go down defeat. In the Dog Pound is brought to you by DraftKings. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code word DOG. That's DAWG DOG. For new customers, get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month free of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. I asked that question because I just don't, about the players. I just don't hear it in their interviews, in their post game, on the radio this morning. I just don't hear, I just hear like, well, we're fine. We're working at it. We just think the ball's not bouncing our way. I don't know what to make of it. I don't, I wish somebody'd get a little pissed and just, start dropping, expletives all over the place. I don't know. I just don't see any anger. I don't see any passion in it. But you know what? That may be reflective of their leadership.
Well, I do think, as we probably segue into the Deshaun injury and stuff, is trying to be positive. Okay, like the great Eric Metcalf did by pulling a positive out of the beginning of the podcast and talking about the positive of Nick Chubb coming back and him looking good and getting into the end zone. Also, I mean, I could be reaching here, but one of the things we've talked about weekly is offensively and team wise, we've been struggling to do an offensive identity. Who are we? Okay. I don't want to see Deshaun get hurt. I don't think it was right. The few people who were cheering or happy when he got hurt the other day. But from a positive football standpoint, and the showing that the offensive line in the spread package isn't going to work is that we're going to probably now get into the offense that we saw at the end of last year. The running game, the play action, more backs, multiple tight ends, not all that first and second down, spread everybody out there. So, yeah, maybe we're doing that from necessity, okay? But that's going to force us into a personality, okay? A more concise game plan. And for us offensive linemen struggling right now, and for us violent tight ends and backs, you're now going to be able to just come off and run block, play action pass, and have a more concise personality and clarity during the week to attempt to have some passion, have some aggressiveness, and find something maybe that you could gravitate to with a little belief
But
right now.
They could have done this with Deshaun. That
They could have,
but
they
they
didn't.
didn't. Right. That's how they've been successful under Stefanski. It's exactly what you just described as how the offense should look or is going to look moving forward now that he's gone. If they were really interested in winning, they could have done that because that's what they've done when Stefanski's been successful there, right? That's what they've done. When we've been successful, that's what they've done. So why not do that if you're really trying to win? We're not trying to spare feelings, right? We're not trying to please somebody because you can go out there and throw 300 yards a game and we lose. If you throw 50 and we win, you should be okay. Of course you want to contribute. Of course you want to contribute more. But the fact of the matter is, we're here to win football games. You play to win the game. And so,
I love the fact that you said that because what's getting lost in all these explanations that I hear is the fans. You play to win. That's the bottom line. That's the only thing that matters. Is you play to win. That I mean, people are half those people that were cheering when he went down they're pissed because they're not winning. They don't know Deshaun. They don't. I mean, they're upset, but they're upset. They're upset because the Browns aren't winning, and they think that if Deshaun gets replaced, then they're going to win. And their anger, their poor judgment is misplaced. I don't agree with anybody that boos anybody that or cheers anybody that got hurt or boos. I mean, the only time I boo is at baseball games. I love to boo at baseball games, and typically I'm booing the umpire or the other team's batters. I don't know what it is, but that's the only time I'll boo. But as far as cheering, I don't want to get into it, but it gets deep into the weeds with Deshaun and why people boo. Are people booing Deshaun because he was, they want a new quarterback? They don't like him. They don't like his character. My question is why are they booing him? Did they put, have been losing bets on the Browns? I mean, Bernie, why do you think they're booing Deshaun? Or cheering him when he got hurt?
So, truthfully, from the old football side of me, I'm not sure it matters. Okay, like really, right now, this is about. I put myself in the quarterback or the coaching position of what I would just do to get out of this mess, and how do I not embarrass myself on Sunday against Baltimore one of my most passionate rivals, and because I'm so friends with Ozzy, okay, I would be mortified if he kicked my ass all over the field on Sunday. So, like, why it got booed, it goes, Frank, to your thing. I was booed, I was cheered. Okay, I don't even know. Okay, I'm not thinking about it now. And I mean, we could talk about it. Okay, but it has no effect on what's going to hopefully happen this week. So, from the fans kind of doing that, that's just frustration type stuff. And I got players, I believe players are having similar frustrations. And it doesn't really matter that they're having frustrations. It's now about just winning and making sure that they can stay on the team, because a redo is coming on this team. And if they're going to show that they're not out there competitive, being tough guys, now they're going to get to not run the ball and stuff. Now they're going to show this is all about survival and who's going to be here to keep living this utopia life as a professional athlete. Okay, or you're going to get shipped out to another place.
I love that. A redo is coming. What does that? We got to talk about what that means. But go ahead, Eric.
After this game, we got the feel good story in Nick Chubb. We got Deshaun getting hurt and people cheering that he's hurt, and which is getting more press than the fact
that we're 1-6. We 1-6, exactly. It's a distraction from the reality.
The fans cheering for Deshaun hurt took all the steam out of the fact that these dudes are 1-6. A team that went to the playoffs and had high expectations going into this season is 1-6. And that's what we should be talking about. How did we
okay, let's talk about it. What's different? Why are they? Why is the playoff team from last year 1-6 to this point in the subsequent season?
So again, I was starting with the thing we've mostly talked about each week is we don't know who we were offensively. Okay, we didn't have the energy and aggressiveness that you really need. And the type of offense, we never really established who we were personality-wise, and it ended up being a disaster. So now it's, again, just trying to make the best of a bad situation. But hopefully now the reality is showing that we have to be the Kevin Stefanski offense that was successful. We can't do that and be a spread type team, because it was unequivocally did not work.
I could be wrong as hell, and I hope I am. But to me, it just looked like they thought they were going to show up and win based on what happened last year. We were 11-6. We went to the playoffs. We're going to go win. We're going to play this together. We're going to win. It doesn't happen like that in the NFL. Those dudes are pros also. Everybody's trying to get paid. Everybody's trying to make plays. Everybody's trying to win. What are you doing to get better?
Well, you saying that and Bernie saying what he's saying, to me, it goes. And I heard, we've talked about this before. It's the culture. It's the culture that exists there. Now, it's the culture on the sidelines. It's the culture up in the press box. It's the culture in the owner's suite. It's the culture in the locker room. It's a culture. There's no leadership. I mean, when you've got a winning program from that year, and then all of a sudden, the next year, you think you're gonna throw your jersey on the field and people are gonna lay down. There's no leadership. That's a lot. That's an immature football team. I mean, it's checking all the boxes above. I mean,
Frank, you were mentioning the awesome Dave Robinson example from, him kind of mentoring us early in the week and talking about how the psychology of coaches and the psychology of optimizing people's performance, and the great Vince Lombardi with the great Dave Robinson, the first Super Bowl winning guys. And here they are basically doing great games, and they're getting screamed at, cut, yelled at, post great games. One of my Jimmy Johnson, one of the great things that he used to do, and it sucked for us as players because we were always walking on eggshells. But in the best games, in the best seasons, sometimes the best performances, he would whack somebody every Monday. And we were good, playing good. And he still would get rid of somebody. And that kind of attitude of not taking a day off somehow, some way. Nothing's more important than football. We all say that, and at times, but it's harder to do now, and you have to actually do those type things. And there may be some casualties some examples, but there were always examples in the old days that wasn't fair, that they got rid of people, coaches, and front office, so that everybody knew the only thing that mattered was somehow, some way getting
You
a
guys
W.
remember that, and we were in damn Berea, and you go over there on a Tuesday to get a lift in, get some treatment or what have you, and you always saw people out there working out, getting a tryout, all different kind of positions.
Right.
And you're like,
Right.
all
Absolutely.
the time. They bring somebody in.
I was one of those guys. They brought me in. Yeah.
So
I was one of those
always
guys that
come
was
in
working
just so
out.
they can see, can we
Right.
get better? Or is that guy watching us bring this guy in?
Right.
Yeah, I had a great one. Is if I'll show my age, towards the end of my career, I was dissipating some of my physical abilities, so I'm mentally trying to do stuff, and really thought I was boys, man. I thought me and Jimmy Johnson, we were so connected. I hooked him up. His transition from Oklahoma State to University of Miami was, with him with the Cowboys getting a Super Bowl. Now helping him get to the Dolphins. Here he is, third go round. I'm with Jimmy Johnson, and he looks at me. And he's like, I can get rid of you too. And that kind of mindset. And he had me playing catch on a Tuesday. He brought in Rich Gannon, okay? And he goes, hey, go.
Look, let me tell you a story before we move on. Look, I was sitting on my couch at the age of 35 years old in 2002. The Green Bay Packers called me in for a workout. And they said, we want you to work out. We want you to return punts. They got rid of the punt returner, blah, blah, blah. This is week 16. I played one regular season game, had the bye week in the playoffs, played one playoff game with Green Bay. So, once again, I was sitting on my couch, thought I was retired. After the game, we lost. It was the first game the Packers had ever lost in Green Bay, playoff game. Michael Vick came in there, ran all over the field on him, right? So after the game, we're in the locker room, the running backs all get together, and we're sitting there, and I haven't been there, so I'm not one to be doing all the talking, right? So William Henderson is talking, all the running backs are talking. And then William Henderson says, Matt, you got something to say? I was like, well, I've only been here a couple weeks, but I'm going to say this to you guys. You young players, you take this for granted. You think just because you play for the Green Bay Packers and they have never lost a game, a playoff game in Green Bay to this point, that you're just going to show up and win. I said, look here. I'm 35 years old. I was at home sitting on my couch, and they called me in, and I'm playing with you today. That means you're not that good.
Yeah, man. It sucks when reality hits you right in the face like
but
that.
It's true.
Wham.
And I hope it inspired them to be the best that they could be. Because if I'm 35 and I'm sitting I'm not even working out, and they bring me in, somebody's not that good. They're not as good as they think they are. And so that's what we're going back to. Guys need to feel and act like they can always get better. Pose the question, BK. Where do we go from here? Where do the Browns go from here? We got so many things that they can do. We're talking about who you start as quarterback. We're talking about, do you keep Deshaun after next year? We're talking about
Wait, let me stop you right there. What do you think? Do you think Jameis and DTR are saying, "Listen, man, you go ahead and start this weekend. I'll let you start. You go ahead. I'll let you have it this weekend if you don't do so well." I'll
They said, "Hey Chubb, you got 35 carries in you."
right. Right. Holy shit, man. Oh my God. If you're the freaking Ravens, you're thinking, anyways, I didn't want to interrupt what you were
I'm
saying,
just
but
talking
go
about
ahead.
all the different directions they can go. Who you start this week? What do you do with Deshaun next year? Do you start trading off folks? Is it a sell? Is it a fire sale? What are they doing? What are we trying to accomplish right now?
So, so the Deshaun question of what happens next year, I know people want to chime on that. That's just complete speculation right now, and I believe a waste of time because you could do that, and you got plenty of the rest of the season and all off season to decide and talk through that ad nauseum. Okay, because more importantly, I think of what do you do now, and it's tough to just get these words out of my mouth, but the season's over. Okay, so how are you gonna go? Well, once you decide, once you can't win the Super Bowl, to me,
Are you
the
telling me
season
the Browns
it's
can't
the
win the
way I
Super
played.
Bowl?
Met knows. Yes, yeah. So on your DraftKings
Mathematically, they
book,
can.
you take your number one
Right.
sport here.
All
I'm
right,
the
I'll
mountain
scratch
with
that one
somebody
off my
else.
list.
No, but like to that is people say I'm not saying tanking, okay, but we are so depleted. This is just not a quarterback issue. We are void of talent in lots of places right now, and one draft pick or one free agent signing, unfortunately, is not tilting the scales, okay, in the positive direction. It's going to take more depth, and yeah, we have some good, sexy names at the top, but the depth of that trade has also been a deterrent to this future success. So one of the things I'd absolutely do, and you saw some shots in the game, whether you like them or not, Cedric Tillman was in the game, and Thrash, the sixth round pick or fifth round pick from Louisville, was in the game playing. And they may not be life's answers in 2025, but playing some of those guys now, okay, seeing
Big
who's
asset.
savable, okay, who will develop, and then if they're savable, great. And if not, look at this isn't what fans want to do. I've wasted most of this century, 24, 25 years of my life making excuses for what the Browns should do in October, okay, when the season's over. This has been a century issue for us, okay, but not tanking, okay, but playing these young guys to see who's savable. And bluntly, we're going to probably lose way more games and enhance our draft position. So increasing draft
Which
position,
we've been
okay,
outstanding
I
at,
want to
by the way.
impale myself.
Which we've just been outstanding
What's
as
that?
far as the
I see
draft.
maybe two we can
Anyway.
win.
Well, that's another issue. And then again, this I hate to say it. I don't know about saying it like this, but I don't want to say a fire sale because there are players and things that may be offered to us because there's so much that we need. Okay, then the reality that probably in September of 2025 the odds of the Browns being a Super Bowl team aren't going to look awesome either. So realizing that you're probably playing for multiple
BK,
years down the road,
BK.
you have to
Cleveland
be
Is
Browns
this
fans
part
don't
of the
open
want to
read?
hear
to
Is
that
this
these
part
shit.
of
trades right
They've been talking about next year forever. Right.
now. No,
is this
fans want to hear it. Nobody wants to live it. No, no,
it,
I don't want to live
Right.
this stuff again. It's not saying I want to do it, but the reality is whether you're told it or not, that is what
is
has to
this
happen,
part?
or this
I mean,
pain will
and I say
continue.
part. Is this part of the redo that you were talking about?
Yes, that flat out is. It's trying to just say
No,
it
no, man.
more
Listen and listen from
softer, but
inside
yeah,
that
that's
locker room or in the dog pound, which you are Browns fans with your hosts Eric Metcalf, Bernie Kosar, Frank Stams, talking Browns football because we know Browns football. We know it from inside the locker room, on the sidelines, and up in the press box. The Browns are
Hey, and if I could say for our podcast, going through this, I mean, I said it in somewhat humor and then somewhat pain of of this century, this whole century. We're on our third decade
Right.
of basically these type questions of, and players, coaches, and front office. When you come from a good team, you have value moving from a good coaching staff to another staff, from a good front office to another, from a good football team to another. You have sex appeal from the people wanting you. And I know we all think if you get released that we're going to find a job somewhere else. The reality for the young players, young coaches, and young administrators to know that people don't want us losers. Okay, so the grass won't be greener somewhere else. So you have to buckle down right now. So fans may give up on us. The national media has given up on us. It's so important in Berea in that locker room that they don't give up, because they'll quickly find themselves as
Yeah, it
alumni in
doesn't
in
get
the
any
NFL
worse
world.
than this inside that locker room. And I haven't been inside the staff room or inside those individual coaching rooms, but I've been told that these coaches, they will spend half their day networking themselves to other teams at this point, because in this business, you're hired to be fired.
Hey, you got
Yeah, that was always my pet peeve before a game. You would see all the
right.
staffs kissing ass to
Great
everybody
people
else,
love keeping
setting up their
contact with
next
your
off
team. Got to
season.
keep in contact.
Yeah, dude, we got game to play today. You're not trying to
Say, hey,
decipher
buddy,
still
how's the
info.
family?
You're trying to suck up.
How's it down? How's it down there?
Yeah,
How's it down there in Miami, Florida? You know,
yeah. Where do you
I
want to?
was,
We want to.
Hey, you got a back
Yeah, we
room I can rent?
rat station, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to be inappropriate." They'd be like making
Oh
out
yeah, it
with the
gets
other
pretty
team.
gross,
Like,
doesn't it? It does
guys.
get gross.
and it only does when you're experiencing seasons like this. If you win,
In the Dog Pound. In the Dog Pound is brought to you
And
by
then
DraftKings.
that,
Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code word DOG. That's DAWG, DOG. For new customers, get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
hey,
it's
we
Yeah.
wish the crown was
yours.
ours.
Yeah. 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 So how do we salvage this Sunday with Baltimore coming to town and looking pretty
So
sweet like they did in Tampa on Monday
You're
night?
gonna have to limit their possessions, and you're damn sure gonna have to get down in the trenches and get dirty with them, because they're running the ball. They're running the ball, and it looks good the way they do it. What they set a record for most consecutive 150 plus rushing games. These dudes can run the ball. They could run the ball before Derrick Henry. Now it even looks better.
Yeah, the personality of their offense with Lamar and then Derrick Henry meshing, those two-headed running games with Andrews and the play action throwing off of that. It's really tough. That, if you don't have your physicalness ready,
So, in other words,
it's going
Browns
to be,
fans,
it could be.
when you don't think it can get any worse, it can. And it sounds like it's going to get worse this weekend.
Yeah, I think those dudes are playing at a high level. They're obviously one of the best teams in the league, but they've given up points. We just can't score. They have given up a lot of points. We just cannot score. And so, if we can find a way to score, limit their possessions, give ourselves a chance to go in there and win, then anything can happen. I don't think it will happen. But another thing we can't do, we can't leave points on the field, right? We can't miss field goals. We can't miss
Our margin for error is razor thin.
Exactly. Especially when you're playing one of the best teams in the league.
I mean, if you get field position, you got to score. If you get a turnover, you got to be opportunistic and score on that turnover. I mean, you can't miss field goals. You can't miss extra points. I
You
mean,
can't give up
every point
kickoffs.
counts. Can't give up kickoffs.
That's 11
Right.
points right there.
Right.
Yeah. From the QB perspective, as to whether we see DTR or Jameis, DTR having the hand issue, and in particular his throwing hand, that may make it even exponentially more challenging to be consistent in there. So probably Jameis played pretty effectively. Granted, it was mop up time at the end of the game, but Jameis running the Kevin Stefanski play action game against this team to help limit the possessions, because we can't let Baltimore have the ball the whole time, and then we almost have to be perfect to take advantage of the
Hey, does
whatever
DTR's
opportunities
got a
present
bad finger?
themselves.
Is that what it is? It's a bad finger.
Don't you start.
You know what? I bet that finger. I bet that bad finger starts to become a bad hand and migrates up into a bad
Here's the thing,
elbow,
though.
bad
And DK, you
shoulder.
know this better than anyone. With Nick back playing the Ravens, we're going to have to throw the football. They're not going to let us run the ball.
Yep.
They're not letting us run the ball. They're going to
Gonna
have to
play
throw the
soft
football.
cover 4.
They're gonna beg us to throw the
Beg us
football.
to throw the football.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and just for listeners out there, I don't want to sound like a baby. You guys could run my over with the truck, crash my chest. But Frank, you pointed this one finger, and you did this for the camera there. That pointer finger, if that's I don't know exactly which one DTR is hurt. If that's the finger that's hurt right there, and you've got to throw the ball,
No.
Jameis Winston needs to play, because this
Yeah.
finger that creates the spiral,
Nah.
they get the revolutions, and it's hard
Listen,
enough
turf
playing
toe
right now
got
in this
Jack, one of the
offense.
toughest linebackers in the NFL to retire. So no, I wasn't saying the finger wasn't illegitimate. I was saying as Baltimore gets closer, is that injury is just going to get it's going to get magnified.
Have a cast up all the way to his shoulder. You take it, Jameis. I don't want no part of this.
Jameis, you're going to have to get this because my whole body aches.
I'm young. You're a vet. You know how to get us through this. You should probably handle this one.
You know, they signed that guy from Kansas City. What's his name? Zappy. They're going to throw they're going to say, "Hey, welcome aboard, Zappy. You got the Baltimore Ravens this week."
Hey, and we're not running the ball at all because we're trying to save Nick.
Right. Hey, and we got five rookies starting on the offensive line.
Good luck.
Oh shit. Oh man.
Man. This is a bad situation right now.
It's a bad situation.
Such high hopes going into the season. We really did.
Yeah. Hey.
Happy came from New England, though, not Kansas City, but that was close.
That's before they got rid of him.
Huh? I thought he was on New England's practice roster.
Hey, how many of the players right now do you think are talking to their agents? The Browns players. They're all talking to their agents.
Everyone, even the ones that are untouchable.
Everyone.
Hey, we got agents telling guys, hey, Miles, your toe still hurt?
Oh shit.
Well, there are, agents or players, agents talking to coaches, asking these same questions, because it's from a fiduciary responsibility. People want to know, is with the trade deadline coming up on November 5th. There's a couple weeks to do things, and look at, I'm trying to say it cavalierly, but getting ourselves ready and getting draft picks now so we don't have the same feeling next year is really kind of predominant in my head. So really, how do you get there? And you saw Amari Cooper so struggling here, and it wasn't matched. And so to get those draft picks and unfortunately, see him do so damn good, okay, in Buffalo with Josh Allen and making some scores and having a touchdown and stuff like that is something that may help the team, get more picks, get more value, and then try out some younger guys because it's really got 2 weeks
we're
to
joking
really
and
kind of
trying to
make
make
those
light because it's a
decisions.
bad situation, but these things really happen. That's what we need fans to understand. These things really
Yeah.
happen during this type of season, and so but it's funny because we all have been there. We have all seen it, whether it be
Right.
ourselves as players or teammates. We have seen these type of things go down, and it's
Right.
hilarious, but not hilarious at the same time, right?
No,
Right.
man. No, I'm with you, brother. If you ain't
Yeah.
laughing, you're crying, and that's the way I deal with pain. Is I gotta laugh it. But what kills me is today's athlete. And this is what kills me. If we were 1-6, not that anybody was looking to interview me or anything, but I'd be gone. Nobody's going to be finding me. I would not want to be on camera. I wouldn't be on the radio. Some of these guys, they can't wait to get on the camera and tell the fans and tell everybody what it's like and what they should be doing. And I think that's wrong. I think some of these guys need to stop lecturing the fans on how they should behave. They just need to either just stay out, just not have such a high profile, and just stay the hell away from the press and just go about and do your own business. I don't know what your thoughts are on
I've
that.
been on some losing team. I've been 3-13 a couple times. Didn't win the first game till maybe week 8 or 9, and it was terrible. But in my mind, on those teams, I was said, I want to have this many touches. I want to have this many touchdowns, no matter what happens. I don't care about anything else. I'm going out there to start.
Well, at that point, yeah, you're right, because you got to preserve yourself. You got to take care of
Right,
yourself because it's
right.
your job, it's your
And I want to
livelihood.
win, and I want to win, but I want to get busy while I'm out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's personal.
Yeah, I got bills to pay. I got to pay. I got to get paid. Right.
Well, it's probably even what Matt, I think it's even a little more so than that. It's personal pride of you want to get paid, but it's more so I want to belong. I want to be good. Look, I just don't want a job where I suck. Okay, if I get paid, but I gotta play like terrible, then I don't want it. Okay, so even if everybody around me stinks, if I could make myself play and do some good things, then I could at least feel proud of myself. And that's the type of guys now where you got to try to find them type guys right now and see who talks like Met is talking, like I'm talking, and whether it's to get busy, to get a good contract next year, whatever the motivation is, that somehow, some way, that Jimmy Johnson, you got to be able to bring yourself to the realization that when you step into the rectangle and across them white lines, that all you're going to do is be productive. And if you keep it that simple, in these torturously bad seasons, it still doesn't make it good and it doesn't make it perfect, but it gives you a chance to do something. Because if you're just hoping to get by or you're hoping you do good out there, man,
Right.
it's gonna go.
And
It's
I
gonna
don't mean to sound
spiral
like
south even
a
quicker.
doomsdayer, and trust me, I don't. I want this team to win. I want them to win.
We all do.
And I guess and you guys talked about this earlier. We talked about it earlier. Man, all this stuff goes away. All this stuff goes away if you just win. If you just win, then everything gets overlooked. There may be some mention about some turnovers or missed field goals, but you know what? It changes everything when you win. And that's what I would say to these guys: just win, man. Just win, just find a way to win again. Unfortunately, this is not the weekend. This is not the weekend that's going to happen. It's just not going to happen this weekend. And I feel sorry for this team.
Give us the numbers. Give us the draft.
It's almost 10. It's 9.5. But which is it's not crazy ridiculous, but the Browns are at 9.5 underdog this weekend, and I'll give you my pick right now. I'm going to go with I go with the Ravens. I mean, it could be 35 to. They're scoring some points, 35 to 7, 35 to 10, something like that.
Dang, you're giving our offense a lot of points. Hey, and as crazy as it sounds, dang, you think we're gonna score that much, huh?
Well, it might be a defensive score. It might be a
Hey,
block punt. Could be a kickoff
so they don't
return.
cover. You're saying they don't cover?
No, Ravens cover. Ravens win the game 35 to
Ravens cover.
7.
Yeah, Ravens cover. Yes.
Yeah.
35-7.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
I
you
mean, they
got,
scored.
BK?
What did they score last night? 40 on the road?
So you know what? I'm still stuck with it's amazing to me how like companies like DraftKings are so good with the spreads, and I don't feel good about our Browns this week, but as a wannabe psychologist and for players, organization, and coaches, I would be so mortified and embarrassed that in my home I was a double-digit dog. Like everybody in my own home thought that I sucked that bad that I'm not the other team is favored by 9.5, 10 points. Like just that in itself is almost mind blowing to me, knowing that you almost never see. You see that in college and high school games when the big teams come to town to play you. You don't really see that in the pros where in your own stadium at your home you're a double-digit dog, basically. Like just that in itself,
You're about to see it.
Tells you we need a redo.
I think you're about to see it.
We're gonna. We may as well look at it. It'll be painful. Maybe the next couple weeks of stuff. You got a couple weeks to maybe acquire some stuff and shed yourself of some other things. It completely blows that I even have to say that or think about it. At 60 years old and remembering that I was actually having these same conversations when I was 36 years old, 25 years ago. So, but that's the reality, I think, of where we're at right now. And there's no quick fix. And Frank, I wish even in a W, even if we got a W this week, then I want to get one, but is 2-6 going to make us happy? Just being a spoiler.
The team on paper looked better. Like years ago, when they were winning 1 or 2 games in 2 years, you could kind of understand because they didn't have players. This team has players and still look offensively worse than those teams. As far as scoring, we're one of the worst teams ever scoring.
Yep.
In the modern day football. I feel like we're back in the 50s with a 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Except we're using the spread passing game to get those 3 yards. Ouch!
All right, fellas. Good show. You got something, Eric?
I'm good. I'm good. I just want to get a victory. I don't see it, but I want to get one.
I'm going to feel positive and bring home a W. If not, we won't jump on our butter.
All right, Browns fans, thanks for being in the Dog Pound with Bernie Kosar, Eric Metcalf, Frank Stams, your host.
Alumni Media
For another week 8 of Browns football.
Hey,
see you next week. No matter.
I'm coming
Go
in with
Browns
next week. I'm out. I'm out.
Right.